Assalamu alaikum and hello dear viewers. With the disintegration of the Soviet Union in 1991 and also with the collapse of socialist regimes in the Eastern and so there was the end of the Cold War, which was a rivalry between the USSR and the USA. Then now we are living in the era of post-Cold War. Of course, many things happen and there are some characteristics and some prevailing situations in this post-Cold War which we will discuss. If you have not subscribed my channel, please do subscribe it. Press the bell icon to be informed with new interesting video uploads and also share it with your contacts and friends. What are the various characteristics of the post-Cold War? One, that is the unipolarity, that the global politics, the international relations or international politics, that is unipolar. Unipolar means that there is only one single superpower. I mean, United States of America, that is the sole superpower of the world. So mainly, and we can call it as a world hegemon, mainly United States is responsible for the regulation of the financial affairs and also of the world politics. In many international organizations, we see that United States, it has prominent and very significant role. Another characteristic of the post-Cold War era, that is a trend and wave towards multipolarity. It means that the world is going to be multipolar. I mean that there would be more than two superpowers in future. Yet we don't know that when it will happen, or the advocates of this multipolarity, they consider it that it will happen in future, maybe in 10, 20, 30 or more than 30 years of period, but the unipolarity of the United States would be challenged by maybe by China, Russia, by India, Brazil, and some other states, and even some states from the Europe or European Union as a whole. But the opponents of this trend and this concept, they say that no, unipolarity, it will be survived over there and it will be continued. So this debate is still going on, that whether there will be multipolarity in future or the same unipolarity will exist. But we can say that now, today, this is, we can say, a loose unipolarity or a kind of multipolarity or trend towards multipolarity. Many states, they are opposing the United States of America, although many states, they are also having agreements and having consensus and friendship with the United States of America. But if we see and take example of China, so there are so many problems with the US, the trade war between the two countries that is going on, the now too much controversies and debates tussle on the Corona crisis, the COVID-19 between the US and People's Republic of China. Taiwan issue is also there. The environmental degradation, the pollution problem, the global warming, that is between the two states. And if we see the South China Sea dispute, now even United States is ready to dispatch a vessel towards that Asia Pacific and the South China Sea. And in that Asia Pacific or in East Asia, United States is supporting many countries just like Vietnam, Philippines, Japan and South Korea mainly. So that issue is there. The internationalization of the renminbi, I mean the Chinese currency yuan, that is between the US and China. So many problems are there, and of course in many things like in the war on terror, both countries, they are also cooperating and supporting each other. Another characteristic of the post-Cold War era, that is the rise of free trade, the rise of globalization, regional integration. So globalization is going now with a rapid pace, although there are some forces who are opposing it and who are advocating anti-globalization, but still the speed and pace of globalization, that is enormous. And regional integration, many countries, they want to join hands with one another, and they have already formed regional organizations and they are going towards regional integration. So free trade agreement is also one of the main pillars of globalization and regional integration. So that is also one of the main characteristics of the post-Cold War era. Another characteristic is the humanitarian intervention. So when there is a problem of the human rights, when human rights abuses they occur, then states, especially major powers, and the international organizations, especially United Nations, they are very much instrumental to have that humanitarian intervention. We have seen in the case of Syria, in the case of Iraq, in case of Libya, and so many other states. So because now a human being, that is the most important, not the state. So state is important, but a human being is also important. So humanitarian intervention, that is there in the post-Cold War era. Another characteristic is that is the spread and the emergence of the non-state actors. So non-state actors, of course, those are now very instrumental. That can be terrorist organizations. So for the first time in the human history, have the terrorist organization, as United States says, and if we take that perspective, it hit the Twin Towers and also the Pentagon back in 2001. We have also examples in the Middle Eastern countries that have these organizations. They are very much operational and active, and they have given tough time even to great powers. Another characteristic, of course, in this category of non-state actors, we have multinational corporations. So these are very much important. Various multinational corporations, they are working in almost all corners of the world, and even in some cases, and they have more income than some small states of the world, and they are also having influence on the state policies, and they are advocating the slogan and concept of liberalism. We have also NGOs, non-governmental organizations, domestically within the state boundaries, and also internationally, what we can call it is INGOs, international non-governmental organizations. So Doctors Without Borders, Amnesty International, and so many others, state-sponsored and also the United Nations sponsored NGOs, they are working in various parts of the world. So another characteristic of the post-Cold War, that is the epidemics or pandemics, just like we have now COVID-19, we had already SARS, we had swine flu, we have HIV AIDS, and we had anthrax and so many other such diseases, that now it's not the problem of a state, but it is a global concern, and not only the small states, but even the great powers and international organizations, they join together, they discuss these problems because it is a threat to the survival of the human being. Another characteristic of the post-Cold War, that is also the environmental degradation, the global warming, there is a damage to the ozone layer, and have this rapid pace of industrialization, and the human activities, they are just they are just destroying the environment. So sustainable development should be there. United Nations has already focused on the sustainable development, that we have to preserve our environment, our planet for our next generations, and then yes, we have the right to do development and to do progress. Another characteristics of the this post-Cold War era, that is also the what we have now more international organizations. We have ASEAN, we have European Union, we have Shanghai Cooperation Organizations, Arab League, and so many others, African Union, NAFTA. So some organizations, they were already formed there in the Cold War period, but now more engagement, more enlargement even, and more activities now we are observing in this post-Cold War era. So some scholars, they believe that this post-Cold War era is going towards stability, but on the other hand, some scholars, they do oppose it, and they say that now world is going towards more uncertainty and instability. What will be there? This debate is still going on between these two groups of scholars. We will have more discussion on some new topics. Please stay in touch, keep watching the channel, and take care.